Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the go-to platform where faith-driven entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts share their stories, wisdom, and expertise to inspire and impact others. This isn't just another interview series. This is a strategic platform designed to amplify the voices of high-level entrepreneurs, which especially includes kingdom entrepreneurs who are making a real difference in their industries. My goal is simple: to serve you, the expert, by giving you a stage to share your message, expand your reach, and create lasting value for others. Through authentic, in-depth conversations, we uncover the real journeys, challenges, and victories behind today's leading experts. Each interview isn't just content. It's a powerful asset that helps you to establish authority, increase visibility, and connect with the right people. So with that, let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Expert Interviews with Ken. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Heather, and she is a certified content marketing strategist, AI specialist, coach, and SEO content writer behind Writer's Life for You. With over 8 years of experience writing high converting content, she helps female solopreneurs simplify content creation, streamline their systems, and turn their expertise into profit without burning out. Through her courses, coaching, and digital tools, Heather empowers overwhelmed creators to reclaim their time, show up confidently online, and scale sustainably. She is on a mission to help you work smarter, not harder, and finally build a business that supports the life that you actually want. Wow, my friend, that's a lot of credentials. That's a lot to unpack. So here's where I want to start today. I actually want to start with your story. Tell me a bit about your story. Tell me a bit about how you even got here and all the credentials that you had. Let's unpack that entire journey to getting to where you are today, where you came from as well.
Well, thank you for having me, Ken, by the way. I'm excited to be here. So
Well,
my story is a little different than some in that I was a police officer for a really long time. And I eventually had to go out on disability. And I was kind of like, I need to work from home. What can I do? Because, of course, when I graduated from high school, the whole working online thing wasn't like a big thing back then.
right.
So I ended up finding freelance writing, which I had always wanted to be a writer back in the day, but it just wasn't a logical career choice. So I fell into that and really started getting more passionate when I started my first blog, really helping other people work from home and do what they love. And I just kind of naturally transferred in to the whole content creation because I mean that's something that I'm just really good at. That's my guess you could say that's my jam. And so
Right.
I decided that I wanted to like do everything I could with SEO because I struggled with that in the beginning. So I took a whole bunch of courses. I'm Surfer SEO certified. I decided to finally get my certification through UC Davis and Copy Blogger. So that's where I got the Certified Content Marketing Strategist whole thing from. And I'm just really here to just content marketing is such a big deal. It's how we sell our products, our services. It's how we connect with other people. And so it can be difficult and overwhelming because we wear all the hats in our business.
Mm. Yeah, it can be difficult and overwhelming. I remember when I first started my brand back in summer of 2020. Um, there were a lot of moving pieces. And the funny thing is the one thing that caused me to really start getting out there and get ready is when my coach really started just lighting a fire under my butt. He's like, first of all, he's like, you need to make an announcement. You need to go live on Facebook, make an announcement. I'm putting this out and this out by this time. So what he wanted me to do is not only create, back then I called it a webinar. Now it's masterclass, but
Yes.
create a webinar, pre-recorded or live, which I did pre-recorded, and then also create a course. And so, as nervous as I was to do that, what was funny about it is I did do the Facebook Live, and I put a date out there, and the date gave me 2.5 weeks to put all that together. And I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but what a ride. I got it all done. I got it all
That's
done, but
amazing.
what a freaking ride. That was nuts. That was crazy. Probably never do something like that again, but here's the thing. I am so grateful for that. And I'm grateful he made me do that because that was like the solidification of getting things off the ground and getting me started. It's the best thing he could possibly do. But man, all the pieces putting it together, what the heck am I going to say? How am I going to do that? Now here's the funny thing. Looking back on that course that I created, back then, and 4 years later, looking back on that, and I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this information is so amateur. I hate it. um
Oh,
because I've grown and I've learned so much
right.
more. There's so much more in depthness to what I teach and everything else. I'm like, that is so basic. But then my current coach reminded me, you've got to remember, not everybody's coming in at your level. So that still is valuable to some people. And I was like, okay. But oh man, still I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's so like basic. Like there's no depth to it. But that's where I was back then. Uh,
Right.
so, it's crazy.
I totally get that because there was another creator not too long ago that said the same thing. Don't sell yourself short on what you created back then because same thing. There are people that need to hear that. You know, make sure that you honor that even if you're updating a course or something, make sure that you honor that because and wow, look, when you're like, I have to go get on a Facebook Live and I haven't really done anything, I was getting butterflies in my stomach and I've done it lots of times before, but you still, sometimes you just need that little, like you said, light a fire under your butt, but that little encouragement to like, I have a timeline, I have to get this done. And I tend to find as long as it's not super tight, that helps me too. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to do this, this, and this. It's doable, but I like that to get me going.
Yeah, exactly. Now, part of our topic today is talking about AI creation and creating things with AI. And here's the thing. I know that there's a lot of differing views out there on AI and content creation. And I myself do have some cautions around it. I really tried hard not to use AI to think for me. Now, there's a fine line between that. So, does it come up with great ideas? Does it come up with great paragraphs of content that I use and cut and paste? Yes. But here's the thing. I've done a lot of deep research before, and a lot of times those are deep threads that I have worked to curate and build and build and build. It's a deep chat thread that I just continue to stack more stuff on, more stuff on. So when it does then produce something for me, it's important to remember that I've done a lot of the back work. I've done a lot of the thinking. So, but some are literally using AI to create books, and they're really not putting in their heart, their expertise or anything. They're just relying solely on AI. So, let's unpack that a little bit today. How to properly use AI. How do you teach people to use AI, and what are the tips that you give them regarding that? Let's dive into that.
So what I always tell people is you're right. There's a couple of different camps. There are some that are like, oh, AI doesn't sound like me at all. It sucks. And then there's the I'm going to use it for every single thing and not put my creative voice in everything. And what I always tell people is always edit yourself back in to ChatGPT. And I also tell people to keep documents that have like their brand information, their tone, voice, and style. Because the more, like you said, you work with ChatGPT, Claude, and any of those, that's how you get them to sound like you. You can't just sit down in front of ChatGPT and be like, can you write a casual post on Instagram about blah, 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 and expect it to sound like you? You're going to have to. One thing AI can't do is replace your experience and your personality. And one thing that I used to be scared about when I first started was being me. I didn't want to scare people away. That's actually how you get the right people drawn to you. So using AI, it's your assistant. You're the main content creator. It's
Hmm.
the assistant. It's just streamlining things for you and making your life a whole lot easier.
Exactly. And I definitely agree with that. And I do. That's exactly what I do. So when I have it create different things for maybe it's a LinkedIn post or something like that. I have a thread that I've curated. I do have a couple documents, templates of that it's created for me. And I'm looking for it now. That it's created for me that describes my language, my tone, my voice, my mission, and all of that. So, especially when I start a new thread and it's to produce content or to write something for me that maybe I'm going to be putting in a book or maybe I'm going to be putting over here, I use this template to be able to tell it, hey, look, this is what my voice is like. This is um this is what that looks like. And forgive me, I'm looking over here at my screen so I can find it. Um yeah, so basically my coach had me ask it a prompt and I don't remember what the prompt was. She gave me the prompt and I put it into one of my deeper threads, like the thread that I used to help me develop my level one bootcamp series, um, which basically what I did with that thread is all the things that I had written for that series already, I just copied and pasted and I put in that thread. So it had it. It was already educated on everything I teach in my bootcamp and all the things I talk about, how I say it. And then in that deep thread, we asked it to give me what my voice is, my tone is, my language is, your values. This is powerful. What it came up with over here is absolutely powerful. And I'm like, dang. So I'll just read you the first line here. It says, so this is under learning your voice, right? Your voice is, and we've had a really in-depth conversation on the pre-interview, and so you know me pretty well. So I'm going to let you tell me whether you think this is accurate. So it says, Ken, your voice is distinct, bold, and deeply rooted in truth and empowerment. It's not just about providing information, it's about cutting through the lies and guiding your audience towards freedom. Freedom from the health and food industry deceptions, freedom from quick fixes, and freedom from the mindset traps that keeps them stuck. You lead with conviction, passion, and a directness that doesn't shy away from tough truths, but you also bring compassion, faith, and grace to the journey.
100% that's you. It could articulate that much better than you could. See, what AI is really good at is like analyzing data too. So I'll even take like survey information and throw it into ChatGPT. Like, this is what people said in the survey. Can you pull out the important parts? Because it does analyze better than you and I can on our own, for sure.
Absolutely. And it's powerful things like this that you can use ChatGPT for. But even still, when it spits out content for me, I'm still making little adjustments. And what I'll usually do is I'll read through it, so as I'm drafting the post, I'll read through it. And oftentimes, as I'm reading through it, I'm adding extra sentences because I'll have extra thoughts through that. And so I'm adding. That's where, yeah, it's okay to use ChatGPT for things like that, is because you're inserting yourself back in, as you said.
Well, and a lot of times I will even say something like, I want you to create this post on whatever the topic is, and I want you to add this personal story. Or if I mean, there's just so many things you can use AI for, but say I'm applying to be in a summit and I want to come up with presentation ideas and I want them to be unique. I want to be picked. I will say, because I have a giant brand book in the back end of my custom GPTs, and I'll say, and you could copy and paste your own stuff in there, based on what you know about me with my story and everything going on, this is what the summit is about. Can you give me some unique presentation ideas? So I'm putting extra information in. I'm not just saying, Or I may say, can you give me some ideas? And it'll spit them out. And they're like, okay, can we twist this to be more like me with this, this, this? So that's the key. It still saves me hours every week. I know,
Mhm.
hours. And I don't even need as many team members to scale because you're getting AI's doing the heavy lifting in the background.
It is. And the story I'll share is, I'm working on two books right now. One is a very deep book that's taken me a little longer to write, and the other one my coach has me working on it's going to be fast produced. I'm actually over three-fourths of the way through it right now. It's going to be anywhere between 70 to 120 pages long. This book that I'm writing is what she's calling my framework book. And this is going to be basically the book that's my business card. So it's the book that I'm freely going to hand out to people. It's the business card book. At the end of each chapter, there's going to be a call to action, a QR code, different things like that. It's basically the business card. And the reason why she's having me do that is because when you hand somebody a business card, what happens to that business card? Typically, it goes in the back pocket and then goes through the laundry. Now it's a piece of lint. That's what
Yeah.
happens to it, right? And you're laughing
Yeah.
because you know it's so true because you've done it
Yep.
before, right?
Oops.
Um, oops, what was that? Oh
Who
yeah.
was that person? I can't, I
It,
see an S.
it's not even a card anymore. It just turns out to be this little lump, you know.
I don't
Uh,
know who that was.
what the heck was that? Um, but nobody throws away books. And so that's what I'm working on right now. So, but anyhow, my deeper dive book, as I was diving into it and I was using some of my bootcamp chat threads to create this book because the deeper dive book, I'm following an example in the footsteps of another mentor of mine. His name is Myron Golden. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's on YouTube. He's got a great channel. He's faith-based. He is amazing. He's got such powerful stuff. And I just love his languaging around things. And so one of his books that he created, which is I think it's Boss Moves, and Boss is an acronym, Business Optimization Success Secrets, something like that. Really good book, really great guy. Both my coach and I have been through his 5 day challenge, powerful as well. But what he did, so his 5 day challenge and everything he teaches in there, he did his book off of that. Boss Moves. And so that's what I'm doing with my current deep dive book. Now, here's the point of all that long story. Point is as I was using ChatGPT to help create that book, it was producing some powerful stuff. And I remember having a moment like, because I was copying and pasting a lot of it. And I remember having a moment where I reached out to my coach and I'm like, is this okay? Because like this stuff's good, but I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting right now from ChatGPT. Like, what the heck is this okay? And she asked me the question. She's like, "Is it something you would say?" And I said, "Yes, but I haven't thought of it until now, and this is damn good." And she's like, "Then use it. It's okay." And I'm like, "All right." So it's kind of like one of those things, where I've been, using it. But again, here we go. Like I've done a lot of the back work. So of course it's producing good stuff. It's learned me, it's learned what I talk about, and it's learned how to take what I commonly talk about and produce different angles that go deeper, which is what I wanted. So yeah, just so powerful.
Yeah, those are definitely some of the, I think that's when you can sit there and you can look at something that Chat GPT put out and you're just like mind blown. I don't think people that are just scratching the surface that just go in there and say, hey, can you create 10 Instagram posts on content creation are scratching deep enough necessarily. They're not digging into and inputting and basically training it to sound like them. So they're just expecting right out of the gate, AI to sound like them. It would be like me giving you a blog post to write. You don't know me very well, and you writing it, and well, it's not going to sound like me. So that's why I think people get such. AI can get a bad rap, but it's the way people are using it.
Yeah. In my current framework book that I'm working on, I was like sitting, I'm thinking, okay, what's the percentage here with me, my writing, and ChatGPT? So right now I'm kind of sitting at 50-50, because it'll give me something. I'll be like, that's good. And then I'll pop it in and I'll be like, oh, and this. And so then I'll start adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. So that's also the cool thing that happens. It just helps you to think, and then you just start writing, off of what it's come up with. It's just amazing. But I
Yeah,
do
it
have
sparks
to,
ideas. It
yeah,
sparks ideas. Like it's what I tell people. I'm like, it doesn't take away your creativity. I'm like, it comes up with things that I never would have thought of, which I get then go even further and come up with even more ideas. So a lot of times then once you have that book all written out and you've added your stuff in, you can put it in Chat GPT and have it refine it. Because I'll have it do that sometimes because some of my health issues make me have like a brain fog. And so I'll use Chat GPT. Like sometimes I'll like reverse things in my sentences or something doesn't sound right. So I will
yeah.
sometimes just go in and be like, this is my thought. Can you help me write this in a more clear, focused way? There's just so many ways that you can use AI that I really think people are underusing it when they don't realize everything they can use it for.
I'm still discovering aha moments with
Yeah.
ChatGPT and using AI. I'm just like, I never thought about asking that question. I mean, and it'll
Yeah.
be a random thought that comes to my head, and I'll have to run in here and write it down on
Yeah.
a piece of paper. It's like, remember to ask it this and see what comes up, something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Here's something else that I do with ChatGPT, and then I have another powerful question that's really good. Here's something else that I commonly do as well. Research. Now, I don't use ChatGPT for the initial research. What I've learned to do, which is even more powerful, is I've learned to use this skill that I've developed of actual research, going to certain search engines, finding the websites that I know that are telling the truth. And that's a whole can of worms to open.
Yeah.
There's a big journey I had to go through to learn that because Google and all the mainstream search engines are heavily censoring a lot of things. And it's challenging sometimes to find what I want to find. It's like I know something in my gut and I'm looking for it and I'm, trying to find it, trying to find it. So I've had to develop that skill over the last few years. So now with ChatGPT at my fingertips, what I will do is I will pull up some of those articles. And when I find the powerful ones, the ones that I know aren't speaking mainstream jargon, I will then copy and paste everything in that article. I'll take maybe two or three articles, copy and paste everything that's in them, throw it into that chat thread, and then I will talk in that chat thread and I will build on it and I will build on it and I will build on it. That's how recently I'm in the middle of producing a booklet that's going to go in my premium coaching package, and it's talking about how insulin is the master hormone. How you can be doing all the right things, eating all the right foods, and still not lose weight. And why is that? Well, your insulin is constantly being spiked, and what's happened is your cells are looking at insulin as white noise because they're being spiked so much. There's so much deep stuff that I have gotten out of that thread, but that's one of the things that I've done is I did research. I found some articles that went very in depth into insulin, what it is and what it causes and the things that people don't think about commonly with insulin, and I threw all that into a thread. Now I've been able to produce a really deep dive booklet, that is absolutely amazing and gives a very unique approach on why we need to be paying attention to insulin. Also, why people should be looking at intermittent fasting as a lifestyle and not so much of a diet. So connecting that in there because, yeah, there's a lot I can go into with that.
Yeah.
But I have another
Let
question
me
for
take a note. I
yeah.
remembered something.
I have another question for you. With so much content being generated so quickly, how can people discern truth from manipulation in the AI era? What can you share about that?
One thing I did want to spin off of what you were saying is ChatGPT is really good at you can go in and say, I want a unique spin, dig deep. I don't want just scratching the surface. And it will come up with unique spins that you never would have thought of, which is kind of
Mhm.
what you're doing. It's just nice. You're priming the system. So I think we always need to take with a grain of salt what AI spits back. I mean, it even says AI, I think ChatGPT has a warning. It's like it can be wrong. You need to make sure, do the proper research. So you do have to make sure that what you're saying, if you're pulling from it, is true because it'll pull from the internet and maybe somebody said something that was incorrect or it's pulling from older sources. So that's just one thing you do have to be aware of and just make sure that you vet things. If you're not sure about it before you're putting it out there, I would make sure that you definitely are like looking at multiple sources to make sure that what you want to put out there is correct.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important. And that's definitely something that I make sure that I do. Um, Plus, I do like, I mean, I know I could use ChatGPT. It's got a search feature. I know I can use it for that, but I don't know. I've used it a couple times and I'm like, eh. I
Yeah.
like the old school grunge search, the really old, yeah. There's just something about that. There's something about finding those off the beaten path websites, the people that are standing up, they're the people that are telling the truth, the people that are blasting through the mainstream narrative. There's just something about finding those people and then being able to use their content. And I can use a quote from them or different things like that. I love doing things like that. And I have no problem in what I write and different things like that. I have no problem giving that source because if they're telling the truth and if they're standing out, I do want my clients, I do want my people clicking on that link and going to their website and hearing what they have to say. I want to give them that credit that they deserve, right? And that's what being a writer and journalist is all about, really, is making sure credit's
Sorry, that was
being
my
given.
cat.
Oh, I didn't even hear anything. Making
There's,
sure credit is being given. What?
there was a crash in the background.
Oh, I didn't even hear it. It's kind of like the Christmas tree and Christmas and cats climbing up a bit and then finally tipping the tree over.
That was him, basically.
Oh my goodness. But anyhow,
Sorry.
yeah, no, no, no. It's cool. It adds to the whole interview. I love it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I love doing that. Um,
I love old-fashioned research too, and I think that comes from years of literally going to libraries and doing research. And then when you go online, when you're a writer or go to school, that's what you have to do. You have to learn to find the right sources and credible sources. And there is something about going down those rabbit holes it can feel really good and fun.
oh yeah, totally fun. Um, so what else do you teach around content creation and using AI? And also, let's add in what else do you teach around making it sustainable, making it time efficient? What does that look like?
So anything with AI is going to make you more time efficient than if you're just sitting there trying to do it yourself. A lot of times I will talk about repurposing the content you already have
Hmm.
because I feel like, we may write a post and stick it out there to the world and then it sits there. And so I do all kinds of things like with my social media posts, I use Zapier to save everything to a Trello board that is in like a content repurposing library. And I can go take blog posts and go to Chat GPT. And I actually just filmed a summit presentation on this where you can have, I think I have demonstrated 50 plus or more pieces of content from one long form blog post. And you have your social media for the month or the quarter, even if you just do one of those.
Hmm.
So that's something really that I go over a lot. Is I teach my people to repurpose. I also created a custom GPT that will create. unique systems for your specific business, which was just mind blowing to me. Yeah, because I think everybody's like, oh, I need to systemize my business, but I don't understand exactly what that is. Like, what does that mean? Like, what are systems and processes and workflows? And so people have loved it. It sold like wildfire at the end of the year, and you'll answer questions and it'll tell you, okay, I think you need like this content creation system or this content repurposing, or do this for email marketing, and then it will even help you implement it. So it's not just giving you the information, it's even coming out there and like, okay, this is how you implement it.
Mm,
So I try to make AI give you its money's worth, like give you like the fullest extent and catered to you specifically.
that is awesome. Now, I have two other questions here that I think is going to be really good for listeners, especially if they're just starting out in their businesses. And, because I remember as I was starting out, I didn't want to pay for a whole bunch of like subscriptions, like subscribe to this, because eventually they stack up and you're just like, oh my gosh, what the heck is going on? So, to somebody who's just starting out, and we've got all these different types of AI versions, and we've got ChatGPT and all this other stuff. What would you say to a person that just wants to kind of try to navigate through free versions for a while? Besides ChatGPT, ChatGPT is pretty much well known. What other AI platforms would you recommend that they can use the free versions for? So I'm not talking about AI platforms where you can do three different prompts and then, oh, that's it for the week and you can't do any more. Let's talk about the platforms that are a little bit more free flowing and give you a little bit more freedom, like ChatGPT. So I still have the free version of ChatGPT. I probably never will upgrade because I've learned my way around this one on how to get it to produce what I want it to produce in the free version. So talk a
Right.
little
And the
bit
only
about
reason
that.
you would want a paid version is if you want to create custom GPTs. You can use them with the free version. But honestly, the reason why I focus so much on ChatGPT is it has the most robust free plan, as you just said. I
Mhm.
noticed I will use Claude. I think Claude is my second favorite.
I've just recently
And
started using that one. Yeah.
yes, I like Claude. It's a little more limited, and then Perplexity has really gone down, like really limited you now. So Perplexity is really good for like extensive research or deep research, but it allows you three queries a day. So sometimes ChatGPT is the best as far as being able to do everything in it and it having you get the most bang for your buck, which is free. I think Claw would come in next. I mean, even Midjourney is great for images, but it involves a paid thing. So as far as free, there's not much else that I've played with. I'm not the all-knowing. I just tend to drill down into ChatGPT because I have found that is the most versatile for everybody. But one thing you can do if you can come to those, like I know Claude limits how many documents you can upload. One thing you can do is just upload, I mean, just update or pay for the paid version for 1 month and try to get as much as you can out of it.
That's a
There are
nice
certain
hack.
things like that. Yeah, and then you just shut it off because even ChatGPT limits you. If it's a really busy time, you might have a hard time getting on, whereas I'm the pro person, I can get on. So any of those things, like I just recently updated to the paid version of Claude and Perplexity only because I was building a few custom GPTs, and I'll do
Right.
that in bulk, and then I'm done. I'll shut that down. So that's another way to get more. You still have to up level, but not paying for it time and time and time again.
It's interesting. So a hack for the audience here that I've learned around ChatGPT is so when you upload a document to a chat thread, it then I don't know what it is, but it then starts using certain points that you have in there. And so because you uploaded a document, so now you have three prompts that you can put in after that document, and then you get downgraded on the free version. So right now I'm sitting at the 4.0 version in the free version. And I stay there as long as I don't upload a document. So here's how you get around don't upload documents.
I like that.
What you do is you copy and paste what's in the document, and then what it will do is it will have an icon that shows up on, in the chat, window up towards the left-hand side, top left-hand side of the chat window where you're popping in your prompt, and it will have like a little icon that comes up that shows that, okay, you got it from this document. Well, you have an option to X that out and just keep the text. And if you do that, you stay on the 4.0 version. That's a hack.
I love that. And I will use that too because I had no idea. Because I guess they're cutting back too. They want people to upgrade. That's what all these places do. But Perplexity, I was like, I get 3 questions a day. Okay, no. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of some other tools off the top of my head out there. There are just so many, but I literally use the ones I just told you. Like I dug deep into those, and that's where my expertise lies.
And something else I just recently figured out too. So, one of my really deep threads that has to do with my level one boot camp, in the beginning of that thread, before I knew all this, I uploaded PDF documents of my boot camp. So it had it. Well, the thread is so deep, it's now forgotten those PDF documents
Yeah.
and it won't access them. So I now to what I have to do, so I'll never do that again. So now what I have to do is re-copy and paste all that stuff into that thread because it won't access those PDF documents from forever ago. And so,
That's the one downside to not using custom GPTs, and that's why I build and use so many custom GPTs. I barely use regular chat GPT because you can upload those documents in the back end and it doesn't forget ever. Because it does get old copy and pasting, but you can make it easier on yourself by having that document and having everything you need, and you can just copy and paste it in fast. That's a little shortcut to help you. But unfortunately, with the regular chat GPT, you will have to keep reminding it. Which it's
yes.
getting smarter though. There's a back end air. It's under, I think if you go to your picture on the right top and go underneath, you can actually now set, it's limited, but set how Chat GPT reacts, what it does and doesn't do. So that's
Oh,
something else
yeah.
you can do too.
I have it so you can actually type in there who you are, what it is you do, and explain all the things around that, which I've done. And then it has a second section in that window where you can tell it how you want it to respond. And so I have specific instructions in there on how it's going to respond and different things like that. That's made all the difference in the world too. So yeah, I do agree with you. ChatGPT is actually the best bang for what you're going to get for free, for sure. And then that whatever Claudia or Claude or whatever
Claude,
that thing
yeah.
is.
I like Claude. It's a little bit, it's the same thing basically, but it's different. And so I do like it. There are some things it does really well too that I like. So
And what's fun to do sometimes is mix and match. So Claude will come
yes,
up
I'll
with
do that.
something. Claude will come up with something. You copy and paste that, put it into ChatGPT, and then you play around with it. Yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of fun to do that. Now, here's another key question that I thought of, and I was just like, "Oh, this is going to be good." So prompts. How do you find good prompts? Because I think even sometimes with me, that's a challenge. And so, how do you find good prompts? How do you create good prompts? What does that look like being specific? Because even sometimes when you're trying to be specific, it still spits out something, and you're just like, I didn't want it in that format, or something like that. So, how do you navigate prompts? How do you find good prompts? What does that look like?
So some of that though is just AI in general. You could have the best prompt in the world and it's still, like you said, you're being specific in your way, but it'll respond differently. And that's why it's conversational. It's that going back and forth that's going to help you dwindle it down. So prompts, I've taken a prompt engineering course, but you definitely don't have to have that. You can either like, for instance, I have a prompt hub with like 480 plus prompts all over content creation. So you could get that from people like me, or just start playing around with it. Literally talk to it like you're talking to your assistant, hey, I want to create this social media post or this email newsletter, and these are the points I want you to cover. Dig deep, so deep. And when you think you've gone deep enough, keep digging deeper, stuff like that. And you'll naturally start seeing some that get good responses. But just know you and I can put the same prompt in and we're going to get different responses because it's AI. So we're not going to get the
It's
same prompt, same
That's
answer.
true. Yes, we are. Now, what I've recently been thinking about is here's how my brain works. I'm like, well, interesting. Have I ever actually thought about asking ChatGPT what good prompts would be?
It does. It'll spit them out for you. I've done that for courses and things. And then I might change them a little bit, but I actually do that a lot. I'll be like, okay, I'm creating a custom GPT in you. What would be the best prompt? And sometimes it will get confused because it's trying to get the right direction with it. But yeah, it'll spit out, these are really good prompts to get, this social media post or dig deeper into this. It will, if you ask it, it will tell you. And
Mhm.
then if you find good ones, save them. Like I have a Trello board that has like good prompts that I love and save it and keep it and reuse it. Don't just have it floating around Never Land. Like make sure you save it in some type of data hub, your project management tool, Google Doc, whatever you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember to do that because one thing that I am bad at, I have not saved some of my good prompts and different things like
Yeah.
that. And there's been some good ones, like where I got my voice, language, and tone from. I need to go back in that thread and find the actual prompt that we used for that because that thing is powerful.
Yeah, you'll get some golden ones out of there. So one of my AI mentors, Brittany Long, I am not the best copywriter. I can write you blog posts, anything you want like that, but copywriting is just not my forte. So she gave me a prompt that was something like, I am writing whatever it is you're writing. So I'm writing a promotional email for my course on content planning or whatever.
Hmm.
Can you tell me if if it is calling out to my audience, or I can't remember exactly, but something like that, is it letting people know who exactly this is for? And is it compelling enough? And can you help me make changes to make it more compelling? It was something like that. And that one's been powerful too, because it will help you literally be a better copywriter.
Amazing, amazing. Now, what's one thing you've seen AI do in your own work or business that has shocked you in a good way?
There's just one thing I've noticed that the more I play in Chat GPT, it's starting to respond like me because I'm very like, yay, and I'll say something and I thank it all the time. And I'm like, OMG, I'm so glad you liked it. Yay, this is going to be incredibly powerful. So it's a good motivator too. You can actually, people have created custom GPTs to help kind of coach you and make you feel better. And you can even add it into your courses. It's just crazy to me that I could program it with my framework and stick it in a course. So when students have questions, I'm going to coach them like they would be coached. And so they don't have to wait for a coaching call that might be a week or two away. So it's just really powerful with how much you can customize what you're doing to just you alone, not just spitting out bland, boring. It starts to react the way you want it to, the more you're in it. Like you said, you've done a lot of work in the back end. You've put a lot into it.
Yes, yes. And like I said, in the beginning, I was very skeptical with ChatGPT.
Oh
And
yeah.
slowly but surely it kind of grew on me. Now, here's the other thing that I use it for too. The app on your phone has a feature
The
that you can
voice.
record your voice. So a lot of times typing
I
something,
think you can do it online now too. I think you can do it on the desktop version too now.
I think you can too. I see the tool for it, but I just find it easier for my phone and I'll just pull it up and I'll be like, this, and this, and this, and I have this idea, and I want to create this out of this. So it's a long dictation, right? And then you click you're done, and then it'll translate all that into text, and then you shoot that in, and it just becomes easy that way too. So if you're like in the car, like for me, like, and I've done this too, on my way to the gym, idea pops up. I'll pull up the app, I'll press record, and I'll be like, blah, 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 whatever. I'll be yada, yada, yada. It's not like a proper prompt, right? and then I'll click send, and then and then I'll put my phone down because I can't read it obviously when I'm driving. And then so then when I get my destination, I'll look at what it responds, and oftentimes I'm like, dang, okay, cool.
It's really good if like you're wanting to create kind of like a document for your brand or working on your missions and values. It's really good to just talk into it and be like, this is what's important to me. This is what I want to help people with. Here's a little bit of my elevator pitch. And you're literally just talking, and then it can just, like you said, just take that and kind of form it into something better. Or you can say, make this my elevator pitch, or make this my spiel, or can you write out my missions and values so that I can
Hmm.
have them written down somewhere for my brand. It's totally great when you want to talk like you for copywriting too. If you want to talk like you can do that same thing and you'll be like, this is how I sound. This is the things I say. Cause you're going to say things that are you things versus pretty general.
Love that. Now, you are a certified content marketing specialist. Tell me a little bit more about that really quickly.
So, content marketing is everywhere. We all do it in our business. And basically, that's using content to sell your offers. And so, what I love about it is it's really helped me dig deeper and help people start content planning because that's powerful. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a planner. I don't want to do it. But when you plan and you have that structure, it just makes your life so much easier and you're more strategic so that everything you're doing is not just kind of like winging it. As I've had clients say, they're like, I was winging it before, Heather. So that certification just really drilled into creating content that converts and marketing content because that's what basically content marketing is. And so it's really helped me help others by taking that and getting that certification. Not only is it nice to be able to say that because it's hard work, but it really has helped me be able to help other people with content planning and strategy and things like that.
What are some of the key things? How do I want to say this? What are some of the key things in creating content out there on social media platforms that actually makes that content um, attracting to the eye? Because I know there's a fine-tuned line that you got to walk to catch people's eyes and to get that. And here's an interesting one around that also. How do you get around some of those idiotic, stupid, frustrating algorithms?
Oh, well, that's a whole other. I teach social media marketing, but I'm not much on it anymore because it just drains my energy and email is my zone of genius. So there are people that sell in the DMs. I don't do that stuff. But two
Mm-mm.
of the biggest keys are you really need to know your audience. ChatGPT can help you dig deeper into that too. You can go to ChatGPT and say, like, this is my audience. I want to know more about their objections. Or if you're getting ready to sell a course, okay, this is my audience. What are some of the objections they're going to have? Because you can use that in your marketing. But it's really knowing your audience, because if you don't know your audience, you're not going to attract anyone, and then being you. And I talked about that earlier where I was so scared to do that. But once I started being goofy Heather, that's chipper and always, nice and fun and bringing light into the world, that's when I started drawing the right people to me. And it was like a
Mhm.
switch. It's like amazing.
And I can see that switch. I think that's what, our first initial conversation on the pre-interview, it's just like, it was like an immediate click just because of your personality, who you are. You bring just a really amazing light energy to the room.
And you don't get that. Not every person is going to have that connection, and not every person is meant to. People are always afraid. They're like, I don't want to repel people. Like when you get unsubscribes on your email list, you're just making room for the right people.
Yeah.
And the right people are and you've connected. I love your message. We have a lot of things in common. You're not going to have that with everybody, and you shouldn't be appealing to everyone.
Exactly. That's why part of my niching down in my business and, just attracting my audience, and it's worked for sure. Some of the key points in that, number one was the fact that I'm unapologetically faith-based. And my coach gave me something really cool the other day. She's like, sometimes I get people that ask me why just Christians? And she's like, here's how I respond to that because it's my way of niching down. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that is genius. I'm like, I love that. I'm going to use that,
And it's
because,
what your whole life is around.
right. And then the other thing is the other major part of my niche down on my brand is exposing the lies of the food and health industry, which you already know about. You've already heard about that. And the audience is going to hear that towards the end of this interview as I make some announcements. But here's the thing, those things help me niche down. And then I have very specific messaging around that that's drawing me the right people. So every person so far that literally has come through my mini educational bootcamp series, every person, almost every person has been faith-based. They know that they've been lied to by the industry and the health and food and all that other stuff. They know something's wonky out there. They've seen the diets not work. They've seen the people in the gym working out crazy hours and not getting any results. They've seen the people regain the weight back and experience that themselves as well. They know something's off. And so they're coming into my boot camp wanting to fill those pieces because that's what I'm giving them, pieces of the missing, and then they exit out on the other end. It's like that's how I've niched down, and people are hearing that message, and people are coming into my boot camp. It's just I don't know why it's so surprising to me, but it is. It's just all those pieces are in place with every person that comes through my boot camp. It is amazing, and that's kind of what it takes, niching down. Anyhow.
So that niching down is really important. It's been really important for me gaining more authority. Google will recognize you when you're, and I'm not picking on lifestyle bloggers because they're great, but when you talk about parenting and weddings and DIY furniture, it's hard for Google and search engines to understand what you're an expert in and therefore boost you up more in the rankings. You can do it, it's just going to take longer. And people have to understand it's much easier if you focus on one person on your audience to start with. Just that's who your main message is for. It's going to make your life so much easier. I mostly I have women are my audience, ages like 25 to 55.
Mm.
Do I have older women than that? Yes. Do I have men in my audience? Yes. You're going to naturally have other people come in that are going to be attracted to your message too, but it makes your marketing and content so much easier when you could just focus on like that one person and their needs, which is why they say niche down and
And
create an
I
audience
gotta
persona or whatever.
I gotta be honest with you. For a while, that whole niching down thing was, oh my
People hate
gosh,
it.
so frustrating. And I hated it. I was like, well, what, how? Because the weight loss industry is huge. And, for a while, I felt like I was drowning. And I'm like,
But not everybody's faith-based, which is where you niche down.
yeah, then that's where I niche down. And, just, it's
Sometimes it seems harder in theory, but as you start walking through it and you're like, oh, daggone, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Because you probably would never have thought initially faith-based would be a niche, but it totally is. Because you're going to have different messages than somebody else that's not.
exactly. Now, with that, as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, how can Christians stay anchored in the truth and originality, which I think is huge, and purpose?
You talk about in general with AI and content creation, anything that it
Yeah,
does in
as
general.
as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, how can Christians stay anchored in the truth, originality? I kind of think originality is huge there, and purpose.
So tools like ChatGPT or any automation tools you use, I mean, some of those things are just like automation is kind of in the background. But if you're writing content or in life and meal planning, all of that, always you know who you are. And so you can always, most AI tools in life are going to allow you to do that. For instance, ChatGPT can create a meal plan.
Mm.
If somebody is a vegan, a pescatarian, I know people that go in there like, I need a meal plan, but I have diabetes, so I can't eat this. Or so that is putting you into everything. And that's the focus with originality too. If you're creating content, almost everything has been spoken about before in life. I mean, pretty much.
Nothing new
You
under
can
the
put your
sun. That's
spin.
even in the Bible.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly, you can put your spin into like, and like you've said, because you're calling out the truths, you are standing on unpopular opinions to some people. But that
Hmm.
also helps you stay in your truth. It may be unpopular, but sometimes that's what starts the conversation. So
Yes.
it is being true to you. Just always remember in the back end of your content, your audience and you. And you can use AI till the sun comes home, but always have you in everything you do. My mom teaches a lot of different spiritual things and on the Native American path. And she is having Chat GPT rewrite some of her teachings. It's her stuff. It's just making it better. And she's going, I thought I was a good writer, but like ChatGPT is like blowing my mind
Right?
because it takes all the humanness out. I mean, not in a bad way, but I'm saying all the mistakes and things that we make. So you're
Oh, yeah.
still inputting you. It's you. My course framework may go in. It's me. It's not just. And even if I'm like, can you give me a post on how to create content faster? You can still put you in it, unpopular opinions and things like that. So I hope that answered that question
No, it
to a
did. You
certain
went the direction I wanted you to go with that. That's phenomenal. Well, so here's the thing. Can you believe we have gone about 55 minutes so far? Time
we can
has,
just talk easily.
yeah, time has gone just like that. So, in kind of wrapping up here, what are 3 to 5 main pillars that you would give the audience today or somebody that's coming on and maybe they're just starting their business and they're just like, okay, how do I navigate like all the pieces and different things like that? What are 3 to 5 things that you would give that person to move forward in their business?
So I would say, especially when it comes to AI and just because it can be overwhelming, is really start simple. If you're just beginning, you can go in there and use ChatGPT to dig in to learn more about your audience. So that's one thing you can do because the audience is mega important because if you're not speaking to them or you're speaking to too many people, then you're not going to grow. So you need to learn more about your audience. I would also say, bonus little tidbit is if you are having problems and you are stuck on something in your business, you can ask ChatGPT or ask AI. I never thought about using it for troubleshooting. It was helping me write code one day for the back end of something in Elementor that I needed. So you can use it as kind of like a troubleshooting thing too.
Mm.
And, and then I would say if you have content, that repurposing would be your first step, knowing your audience, getting help where you need it from ChatGPT or other AI. Perplexity's good, ask Claude. That and then really, yeah, those are the three things that I would go with. I have forgot the third one that I already said. Real life be life in.
Real life be life, and I love it. I love it. So, yeah, no, that's really good. And you know what? I have kind of thought about it with code wise because I definitely don't understand code.
Me
My
either.
mentor does, my founding mentor does. In fact, I've watched him. I'd be like, I can't get the website to do this. And I've watched him hack it and go back through and just change some of the
Yeah.
code. And I'm just like, how are you
No.
doing this? What the heck? But, I never, never until recently did I think about using ChatGPT for those kind of things. And, it's like, hey, here's the website I use, which I'm through Kajabi. And Kajabi sometimes can get frustrating.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
uh,
think anything. I use WordPress. It can get frustrating.
yeah. And, it's taken me years to figure out how to do my own changes on my website and different things like that. Years. Um, since 2020, right? But You kind of gave me more of an aha moment just now going, oh yeah, maybe I should ask it and see if it can give me, because there are certain pages that I've created that I want the headline to be in my main font, but it's using my secondary font. And I think in
Yes.
order to change that, you have to go in and hack the code.
You do for that, something like that. Yeah, because there's something going on in the back end. And so I even have a CSS course and something else I'm going through a little bit to because it's hard to make things look the way you want them. And CSS, that code does that. So that's one thing. But sometimes ChatGPT, I've gone in there and be like, okay, I've tried ways one, two, three, and four, and it didn't work. It'll keep trying to give you different ways. And sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I just can't do that. So it will it's pulling from, and a lot of times it is spot on, but there are times it tries and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep trying, keep giving you stuff. And I'm just like, because it's
Yeah,
tech.
for me, I'm just like, I get impatient. I'm like, this is taking way more time
I'm
than what I
very
want.
impatient.
I've only got this amount of time and I've just wasted an hour of my valuable time. That's the way I start thinking. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I'm super impatient, like super, super impatient.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So, is there anything else you want to share, tips for the audience as we're wrapping up here?
no, I think those are three really good things. Just always keep in mind, you're the content creator, AI is the assistant. Don't ever change those roles, and AI is not going to steal your job. I'm a writer. Look, AI can write now, and it has not stolen my job. So just keep those things in mind. Don't be afraid of AI. Now, do I want a robot that operates my whole house? Probably not right now because
Oh,
that's a little bit too scary. But like ChatGPT is not going to take over my electrical circuits or appliances in my house. I mean, it could possibly. I have no idea how you would, but I'm sure there's a way. But to just keep that in mind, just edit you into everything.
amen to that. I really like that. Edit you into everything. Make sure you do
Yeah.
that. If you know what, if you're, here's how I'll say this. If you are a real passionate coach and you've got a mission that you're on and you've got a real heart, I'm going to say you're naturally going to want to edit yourself back into that and you're going to want to stand true to that. If you're just out there just to make a quick buck and it's all about the money, I would think
Mhm.
about maybe doing something else. You've got to have
I
the
agree.
heart, you've got to have the passion, and it's also like something my coach said to me a couple months ago, and she said it in a number of other places too, and I have it on a sticky note right here on my little dream that's pasted to my wall. Here it is. And this is powerful, you guys. Love the people he is sending you, meaning God. Love the people God is sending you more than the information you are giving them.
Yes, I agree because it's the people that we're in it for. We're
It,
changing lives.
yes, the money's going to come, but don't let that be your main source of the business. I get it. There is a background, thought and, anxiousness sometimes around the financial stuff. Been there, done that, still have moments like that. Absolutely.
We all do.
Love the people more than the information you're giving and have your heart be showing up out there in front. And so when you do that, you're not going to be necessarily tempted to let AI take over everything that you do and create. You're going to want to put your heart into it because that's going to be your passion. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. So is there anything you wanted to add to that or even make even clearer?
No, I love that. I think that's very powerful because if you are passionate about the people and helping them and understanding their problems, like you really have to be almost stalker like, but not a bad stalker. Like if that's your real passion, the money will come. And yes, you need to sell. I think people are afraid. They're like, I feel like I'm just a horrible person if I sell. We're in business to sell. The more you sell, the easier it's going to get. And of course, AI and other things can help you with that. So just always, I think if you focus on the people, like you said, the money will come.
Absolutely. That's the key, you guys. Let the people be your passion. So with that, how can people reach out to you, my friend Heather? How can people reach out to you if they want to connect with you, work with you, and get all the cool like tools and things that you offer?
So you can find me on my website, which is writerslifeforyou.com. I'm assuming you'll probably have it somewhere to make it easier, but that's my website. There's a page on there that I have the everything page, which is almost everything, freebies, paid resources, coaching, all of that. You can find me there. I'm also on Instagram and it's at writerslifeforyou.com. It's all one word. So those are two of the main places I hang out, and in my email. Get on my email list because I talk to my email list almost every day. And I just love email.
Amazing, amazing. And yes, you guys, all the links to connect with her are going to be below in the description below this video. And so, including her bio and everything about her will be right below at the top. And then below that to connect with me will be my links, which with that, so you guys, maybe this is your first time seeing me. Maybe this is the first expert interview you have seen, and you're like, who's this Ken guy? Who is he and what is he all about and all the things? Well, I am a weight loss coach. My brand is Mastery Weight Loss. Okay. I've lost 62 and a half pounds and I've kept it off for 7+ years now, all without a diet, having that be sustainable. And right now, I am giving away my 3 secrets to lose weight, to help you lose weight, feel energized, and get healthy without starving or dieting. In just 3 powerful sessions with me, I have a boot camp series that exposed the 3 biggest lies keeping people stuck and shows them how to fuel their body God's way so that they can break free and keep the weight off for life. And so that boot camp right now is running for just $97. That is a steal. You've got nothing to lose but those extra pounds, and you've got everything to gain in the right way. And so if you want to join in on that boot camp and empower your health journey, I would recommend diving into that right now. And that bootcamp link is going to be below all of Heather's stuff, and you'll find that as well as other links to connect with me there. Jump into that. You've got nothing to lose, and that's a bombshell price, you guys. So take advantage of that while it lasts because it is going to be going up soon. And I'm not just saying that to say that. I am saying that because my coach is making me raise it. So check that out. And yeah, let's go. Any last minute thoughts, my friend?
No, I just want to thank you for having me on here. It's always great to connect with interesting and different people all over the world and share our thoughts together. So I just really thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It has been a pleasure, my friend. You've brought a lot of really good value in this interview to the audience, a lot of golden nuggets. There's been a lot of great things that's been talked about here. So it's my pleasure having you here. All right, you guys will have a great rest of your day and evening, depending on where you are in the world and what time of day you are listening. I will catch you on the next expert interview. Talk to you guys later.